was a bright and curious young Yeti who enjoyed playing games with his good friend Fast Freddy. One day, after they finished playing ball, Freddy held up an icicle and said, "I'm a narwhal." Edward was confused by what Freddy just said, so he asked, "What's a narwhal?" "Narwhals are whales with big pointy horns," Freddy answered with glee. "You can go ask my mom if you don't believe me." This puzzled Edgar. He wasn't sure what to say, so he blurted out something that's strange to this day. "Do narwhals have blowholes?" A curious query, but neither could come up with a viable theory. They decided to head to the Arctic North Pole to find out for themselves about the blowhole. So they gathered their things with some fruit and some bread, and quickly jumped onto the traveling sled. "To the north," said Fast Freddy as they sped down the slope, eyes wide with excitement, gleaming with hope. They traveled non-stop through ice storms and blizzards. They asked for directions from two battling wizards. They crossed a bridge made of ice and rode on a ferry. One night, they slept by a Tibetan monastery. They climbed up cliffs and they climbed down stairs. They got in a fight with some surly polar bears. And after 7 days of perpetual motion, they finally made it to the Arctic Ocean. They spent the night on a snowy beach, knowing their answer was finally within reach. The next morning, they knew there was no time to stall if they wanted to find a friendly narwhal. So they hopped on an iceberg and floated out to sea, hoping to end up where the narwhal might be. After hours of searching, Edward was looking forlorn. Would they ever find a whale with a long pointy horn? They continued on Fast Freddy's insistence until he finally yelled, "Hey, what's that in the distance?" Out on the horizon, they could see some commotion. Then, a long horn emerged from the ocean. The two young Yetis couldn't believe it was true when the narwhal swam up and said, "How do you do?" Edgar smiled. "We're doing just fine, but I wonder if you could answer a question of mine."
"But of course,"
was the friendly narwhal's reply.
"I might not know the answer, but I'll certainly try."
"Do narwhals have blowholes?" Edgar eagerly inquired. "We're a long way from home, and we're awfully tired." There was a long pause, and a moment of tension. It appeared that the narwhal wasn't paying attention. Then suddenly he said,
"Quick, climb on my back. We need to get moving before the lemmings attack."
So Edgar and Freddy jumped onto the whale, and they were gone in a flash with a flick of his tail. As they rode on his back to the icy seashore, they both found the answer they were looking for. On the back of the narwhal was a hole in his head. "It's a blowhole!" the Yetis in unison said. The question was answered, the mystery solved. Thank goodness the lemmings were never involved. Safe on the shore, they said goodbye to their friend, and with that, this fine story must come to an end.